What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Hooked on Sports here on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasting streaming services. My name is John Flynn, and welcome to episode 395 of the program. It is my annual Super Bowl pick special here on the podcast. My name is John Flynn, in case you were wondering, and thank you for joining me today as I get you set for Super Bowl 60 between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots coming up on Sunday in Santa Clara, San Francisco, area at Levi Stadium. And I think this is going to be a tremendous ball game coming up on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm going to give you what I think the keys are going to be for Seahawks victory. I'll tell you what the keys are, I believe, for a victory for Drake May, Mike Vrabel, and the New England Patriots. I'll give you, of course, my Super Bowl pick. I'm going to give you my official prediction, score, and who I believe will be the Super Bowl MVP. Well, but that will be a little bit later in today's in this week's episode and my NFL preview for the game on Sunday. But we did not spend much time talking about the Seahawks and the Patriots winning their championship games in the conferences and getting to the Super Bowl because, for obvious reasons, it is a big thing to know. But I think both of these teams took different paths and found different ways to get to the Super Bowl, and I feel compelled to start with Seattle because it has already been established that John Schneider, the Seattle Seahawks general manager, who has been at the helm in Seattle since 2010. So he built an unbelievable roster that won a Super Bowl for the Seahawks 12 years ago in the 2013 season. And then they went back to the Super Bowl. If it wasn't for that decision to throw the ball at the 1 yard line instead of giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch, we could be talking about John Lynch being going back to back and all of the implications and all of the consequences of Russell Wilson throwing that pick to Malcolm Butler at the goal line in Super Bowl 49 are proven moot, and everyone's legacies around that game would have been different, but nonetheless. But so it became a pretty apparent that's something needed to change, and in 2022 the Seahawks traded the stud quarterback Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a slew of high draft picks over the next couple of years. Where it was clear that the organization needed some sort of reset when it comes to their roster. So they start building in 2022, 2023, start hitting on some picks. And then in 2023, the Seahawks missed the playoffs. They decided to part ways with Pete Carroll, and then they hire Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald to be the head coach. And since then, he has turned one of the more disappointing units in pro football to arguably the best individual unit in the National Football League this year, because they were the number one defense in terms of DVOA this season. They and I mentioned this before, but they look young, they look physical, they look fast, and the defense is probably the main driver for Seattle to get to the Super Bowl. But you also have to look on the offensive side of the football. So that they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba in 2023 with one of their 2 first-round picks. The other being their stud corner, Devon Witherspoon, And now you tried to rebuild the offensive line. They invested first round picks on the offensive line the last few years. You're thinking of Charles Cross. You're thinking about Gray Zabel, the one of the their left guard. So who has played a big role in some of Seattle's offensive successes. And then after they traded Russell Wilson. They bring in Geno Smith. He was the quarterback for 3 years, and then they trade him, and then sign Sam Darnold coming off a big year in Minnesota instead. And everyone was destroying the Seahawks for that, but John Schneider turned out to be right. Sam Darnold. Sam had another great year. His statistics were not as good as it was last year with Minnesota, but he won 14 games. Seattle got the 1 seed, and they rolled through the 49ers and overcame a great quarterback performance from just anointed MVP Matthew Stafford, who announced at the NFL Honors last night that he will be returning to play in the NFL in 2026. And it is they overcame a great Matthew Stafford performance in isolation to get to the Super Bowl based upon the work of Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was named Offensive Player of the Year at the NFL Honors last night. So Seattle comes in relying on great structure, building through the draft, and great elite coaching along the way. And speaking of coaching, Clint Kubiak, who came in to be the offensive coordinator for Seattle this year, he is going to be leaving and expected to join the Las Vegas Raiders as their head coach on Monday. So this could be is a big opportunity, and like you don't know if you're going to get back with a different coordinator. So a lot riding on this for Seattle. And then when it comes to the Patriots, and the last 5 years for the Patriots prior to this year was an era where the Patriots were wandering the wilderness after Tom Brady left and to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Patriots missed the playoffs 4 of the next 5 seasons after Brady left. So they drafted Mac Jones in 2021 in the draft. That didn't turn out so well, and the free agents weren't signing signing with the Patriots. They weren't they weren't interested. That the Tom Brady appeal wasn't there anymore like it was for so many years, and then countless mistakes along the way. So they let they part ways with Belichick. They bring in promote Gerard Mayo to the head coach position in 2024, but he turned out to be a disaster. But the same year, they drafted Drake May with the 3rd overall pick in the draft. So he showed some flashes last year, but it really took off under a completely different coaching staff this year. Mike Vrabel, the ex-Titans coach, comes over to be the head coach after spending a year in Cleveland as an assistant there. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, that felt like a no-brainer. And the Patriots, after starting 1-2, which featured a home loss to the Raiders in week 1. The very same team that's going to be drafting 1st overall in the 2026 NFL draft coming up in April. And then since then, including the postseason, they have reeled off wins in what is it, 16 of their last 17 games since then. So it has certainly been quite a turnaround. That they know how to win, and it feels like a restaurant that Mike Vrabel coming back is signaled the restoration of championship culture in Foxborough. So, and of course, Mike Vrabel played under Belichick the first part of the dynasty as a linebacker, and yeah, he did catch a couple of touchdown passes as an eligible receiver in Super Bowls. So Vrabel has been knows how to coach. He did a great job with Tennessee. And then you have people were trying to call the Patriots fraudulent, so because they had a soft regular season schedule. They had the luck of the draw with the last place teams that they faced that they faced. And the Patriots wound up winning 14 games. They had that big win in Buffalo Week 5, so that really put them on the map. They wound up winning the AFC East on that as well as other victories. So and then when the offense started to struggle a little bit, the defense has been playing at a championship level in these playoffs. They've given up less than 10 points. So that they've given up 3, 12, and 7 points in their three games so far in these playoffs. 3, 16, and 7. Excuse me. So if you think about it, they're averaging just 8.7 points per game allowed in the postseason, and only one other team had given up fewer at this point, and it's in the last 30 years, and that was the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, I believe. So. But the Patriots beat the Chargers, they beat the Texans, they beat the Broncos. None of those three teams the Patriots saw during the regular season. But the Seahawks are a team that they haven't seen in the regular season, this regular season either, and they'll be playing for a championship on Sunday. So. Let's. I'm going to give you some of the key individual matchups to watch, and I'm going to be looking at the Seahawks offensive line against the Patriots defensive line as a top matchup to watch, because again I think because I think the right side of the offensive line feels like the weakest point of Seattle's roster. And the Patriots have done such a great job. So when their prized free agent signing Milton Williams has played, and what he's been able to provide in terms of the run defense, that they have just been superb. Stopping the run. So if the right side of the of that offensive line can hold up and give running room to Kenneth Walker, who will get the boatload of the carries for Seattle, because Zach Charbonnet is out with the injury. We're going to see how that transpires, and I feel like this could very much be a game that's decided at the line of scrimmage. So we're going to see. We'll find out, I think, in the first early on who's winning that battle at the line of scrimmage. So we're going to see. How that transpires. I will also be looking at the battle between at the expected battle between Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Offensive Player of the Year, against the Patriots defensive backs, more specifically Christian Gonzalez. And I'm not saying that you have to completely shut him down if you want to win. On Sunday, like if Jackson Smith-Njigba has a post a stat line of 6 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, I don't think that's necessarily that's not the end of the world. I think for the Patriots, they can still find ways to generate offense, so based on what they have in Drake May, for this. So, I'm looking at can the Patriots secondary slow down Jackson Smith and Jigba, because he's been the best wide receiver in the game, and you have to think that in the big games you need to rely on your go-to playmakers. Do the Patriots have a plan of attack on defense that can force someone like Cooper Kupp or AJ Barner to step up and come up with key receptions throughout the course of the game, and if they have to do it in the fourth quarter, that'll be where I'm looking at. So. I'm gonna be looking at there, and then on the flip side, I'll be looking at how the Patriots will be able to run against the Seahawks' vaunted run defense. So whether it's Ramondre Stevenson or Travion Henderson, and how the Patriots utilize their running backs against Seattle's run stuffing defense. So I think if they're able to break through for a big player or two, that gives the Patriots a great I believe a great chance to win. So I think it's going to be really about the line of scrimmage, and we'll have answers right away, I believe, on that front. So let's go. I think to what I believe are four keys to a victory for the Seattle Seahawks on Super Bowl Sunday. Number one is turnovers, and the Seahawks had the second most giveaways of any team in the NFL this year. Yet they still were the one seed of the NFC nonetheless, but. So, in games where including the playoffs, where the Seahawks had no more than 2 turnovers a game, so either 0 or 1, they are 10-0 in those games, and they had 2 losses where they had 2 turnovers. They had 1 loss where they had 4 turnovers. That was the 2-point loss against the Rams in Week 11. It was one that the Seahawks thought where Sam Darnold played his worst game of the season, and they only lost by 2 points. Number 2, win on first and second down. Because I mean, I think it's going to be really important in this one, because I think we're going to see more about who wins that in the first half. So I think being able to get 4 or 5 yards on first down, setting up second or third down, and less than 3 yards to go. That's going to be a big talking point, and should be a talking point in Clint Kubiak's meetings this week. And in terms of early down success rate, and this is a great stat provided by it's by Sharp Football Analysis, said that the Seahawks have the number 8 offense in EDSR. The Patriots ranked 21st. So, and in case you're wondering, for the Patriots offense against the Seahawks defense, the Patriots are 3rd, while the Seahawks defense was 1st. Number 3, so the Seahawks need to play zone against Drake May, and the Seahawks have used the zone on 71.7% of defensive snaps this year, and they used the split safety look 51.4% of the time, which was the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. So and look, I kind of get why that is, because I think because I think the game plan from the Broncos was that. So was that as soon as they saw Drake May was beating them with those in man coverage, so you needed to disguise the defense a little bit more. So I think it's key for Mike McDonald to confuse Drake May and force him to process the defense a little bit quicker and a little bit faster, and if you win in coverage, and if you believe your edge rushers can get to can get to the quarterback. That signals that the Patriots are going to have to make adjustments at some point in the game, and so if that's the case, then it's like Seattle leads like 10-6 at the half. So then Josh McDaniels is going to have to get super creative. So with play design in the second half. And now, has he done that before? Yes, because Tom Brady spoke earlier this week about beating the Seahawks 11 years ago. So was that the Patriots? Josh McDaniels introduced some new plays to the Patriots playbook that were specifically designed for coming back to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Because remember, because obviously everyone talks about the interception and all that, but Tom Brady was down 10 points in the fourth quarter to the best defense in the league, and he came back. He scored back-to-back drives to put the Patriots ahead with 2 minutes left. So which that's kind of overlooked in the grand scheme of that last line of thinking there for that. So those are going to be the keys, I think, if the Seahawks are going to win a championship on Sunday. Now I want to talk about the keys to victory for the New England Patriots. And I think number one has got to be that Drake May has to demonstrate why he should have been named the MVP over Matthew Stafford. And I think kind of a last minute wrinkle. So could be the result of the MVP voting that announced last night. Matthew Stafford finished 5 points ahead of Drake May for the MVP voting. So I wonder if that's going to fuel some motivation for that to for that to win. So that's not number one. Number two, you've got to create some pressure on Sam Darnold. So you're going to have to win some battles at the line of scrimmage to force Sam Darnold into into making mistakes. Because look, if the Patriots cannot pressure Sam Darnold, get to Sam Darnold and get him to make a mistake, then the Patriots are dead on arrival. So you got to generate pressure and disrupt the timing and the rhythm of the timing and the rhythm of Sam Darnold when it comes to when it comes to trying to establish a pocket presence over in the pocket. So I'm looking at that, and then number three. Number three, I'm really looking at trying to work a screen game and have your receivers block in front of other backs and tight ends to to make screenplays because that might be how you how you have to win if you're forced on a third and long. So I think you got to establish some timing and rhythm early and get a young Drake May, who is the third youngest starting quarterback in the NFL. Get him into a rhythm, get him settled in because this could be a case that if your quarterback is rattled on the biggest stage in sports, it could be a very quick night for everybody involved with these teams. So you got to start fast. You got to set the tone. And you have to show that you're ready to play it, and you're not putting up with the nonsense and all the media pundits that are picking the Seahawks to beat the Patriots, and the Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites in this one. So this all leads me for my Super Bowl pick, and I kind of I felt pretty comfortable with my pick when the matchup was revealed, because I had a winner and a score ready to go. So, but I think the Patriots do have a couple of advantages that I think they have. I think they have the quarterback advantage in the Super Bowl. And I also think that they can be able to slow down the run a little bit. Because I think the injury to Charbonnet might be a more impactful type of deal this time for Seattle than it was against the Rams in the NFC Championship game, because you're playing a tougher run defense, and you have the neutral site game to boot. So I'm looking at those are being advantages, but I think when it comes down to it, I think I kind of look back to the last three Super Bowl champions, like both Kansas City teams and the Eagles, and to me, and the common denominator of those three championship teams was being the better, more executed, more buttoned up team. A team that hit on draft picks for consecutive years, and being able to show more excitement for the game, and more of a key in preparation to overwhelm your opponents. So I do not think if this is impossible for the Patriots, and in the poll that I put on my stories last night. And by the way, it should be noted that my follower pick was wrong each of the last 5 years. So they picked Kansas City to beat Tampa and Philly. They picked San Francisco to beat Kansas City, and the Bengals to beat the Rams, and all of that. But so a whopping 86% of the people picked the Seattle Seahawks to win, and I do understand, but I wouldn't necessarily think that this is going to be the one where it's going to be. Where it's going to be that decisive, but and I don't think this is going to be a bad game at all. Despite the spread line we're playing with, and it's been consistent at 4.5 for the last 2 weeks, but I think in this one, I think Seattle has a slightly better defense. And I think Seattle special teams, and we're looking at Rashid Shaheed. I think is going to make a big play an important kicker punt return. So that to me is going to make a huge difference in this game in the second half. So I want the best roster in the NFL to be rewarded. I want the GM who built it to be rewarded, and I think the best team I saw all year is going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday. Give me the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl by a score of 26-16, and my Super Bowl MVP is none other than Sam Darnold. So Seahawks 26-16, and the MVP is going to my pick for MVP is Sam Darnold, and the Sam Darnold truthers I think will be rejoicing on Super Bowl Sunday when when I believe the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. So that is going to do it for this edition of Hooked on Sports. Thank you so very much for listening to the podcast. We'll have a lot of analysis and some post-mortem coming up on the podcast. I'm hoping to get to record something after the Super Bowl. So until then, this is John Flynn saying so long. I'll be back here on the podcast next week. Take care, everybody, and so long, and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, everybody. Take care.